Hello everyone. Welcome back to Ly Tu Huyen's channel. Today we have a story that will touch your heart and test the boundaries of trust and love. What happens when Huyen returns home to find another woman in Dee's arms? Will jealousy destroy the beautiful relationship they've built together? Or will trust prove stronger than doubt? This is a story about love, faith, and the power of understanding. Stay with us until the end to witness how true love overcomes life's unexpected challenges. The morning mist still clung to the mountain peaks as Huyen made her way down the familiar forest path toward home. Her basket was heavy with fresh vegetables, fragrant herbs, and a special cut of pork she had bargained for at the market. Today was going to be special. She had planned to prepare Dee's favorite meal, a hearty stew that would warm his heart after a long day working in the fields. The thought brought a smile to her face as she navigated the narrow trail, her feet sure and steady on the uneven ground. The town market had been bustling that morning, filled with the cheerful chatter of vendors and the rich aromas of local specialties. Huyen had taken her time selecting each ingredient with care, imagining Dee's expression when he tasted the meal she would prepare. It had been 3 years since Day had come into her life, like a guardian angel, rescuing her and little Maya from a hopeless situation. 3 years since he had given them not just shelter, but a home filled with warmth and love. Every day with him felt like a blessing, and she never took a single moment for granted. As she climbed higher into the mountains, the familiar landscape embraced her like an old friend. The towering pine trees whispered secrets in the gentle breeze, and the distant calls of mountain birds created a natural symphony. This place, once so foreign and intimidating when she first arrived, had become her sanctuary. Here, among these peaks and valleys, she had found peace after years of suffering. Here, she had watched Maya transform from a scared, hungry child into a bright, joyful little girl who laughed freely and dreamed boldly. Huyen's thoughts drifted to Day as they often did during these solitary walks. She thought about his gentle hands, always so careful when he touched her, as if she were something precious that might break. She remembered his patience with Maya, the way he would sit for hours teaching her to read and write, never showing frustration when she struggled. He had become the father Maya never had, the partner Huyen had stopped believing existed. Unlike Thuk, who had abandoned them for his vices and selfish pleasures, Day was steady as the mountains themselves. The sound of rushing water from a nearby stream reminded her of the day they had first met. She had been sitting by a similar stream, Maya crying from hunger in her arms, when Day had appeared like an answer to prayers she had been too broken to speak. He hadn't asked questions or judged her circumstances. He had simply offered help, his eyes full of compassion rather than pity. That moment had changed everything. As Huyen approached their small wooden house nestled against the hillside, she heard something that made her quicken her pace. Maya's laughter rang out clear and bright, but there was another sound too, an unfamiliar voice. Her heart began to beat faster, though she couldn't quite identify the emotion rising in her chest. Curiosity? Concern? Something else entirely? She rounded the final bend in the path and stopped abruptly. The basket nearly slipped from her fingers as she took in the scene before her. Through the open doorway of their home, she could see Dee kneeling beside their bed, his attention focused on someone lying there. It was a woman. A stranger. Her dark hair spread across the pillow, her clothes torn and muddy. Dee was carefully cleaning a wound on the woman's arm, his movements gentle and practiced. Maya stood nearby, watching with wide, curious eyes, holding a bowl of water. For a moment, Huyen couldn't move. Her feet felt rooted to the ground as her mind struggled to process what she was seeing. The woman was young, perhaps around her own age, with delicate features that were pale with pain or exhaustion. Dee's face was etched with concentration and concern as he worked, completely absorbed in his task of caring for this stranger. His hand rested briefly on the woman's shoulder in a gesture of comfort, and something sharp and hot twisted in Huyen's stomach. The basket did slip then, tumbling to the ground with a soft thud. Dee's head snapped up, his eyes meeting hers across the distance. For a heartbeat, they simply stared at each other. And in that moment, Huyen felt the world tilt beneath her feet. 1,000 thoughts crashed through her mind like a violent storm, each one more painful than the last. Who was this woman? Why was she in their bed? How long had Dee been caring for her with such tenderness? The questions came fast and furious, but beneath them all lurked a darker, more insidious feeling. Jealousy. It crept through her veins like poison, whispering terrible possibilities in her ear. Had Day found someone else? Was this woman someone from his past? Was she younger, prettier, less damaged than Huyen with her complicated history and ready-made family? The memories came flooding back unbidden and unwanted. Thuck's betrayal, the way he had chosen gambling and drinking over his wife and daughter. The countless nights she had waited for him to come home, only to have him stumble in, smelling of alcohol and other women's perfume. The final humiliation when he had been arrested, leaving her to face his mother's wrath alone. Huyen had sworn she would never feel that pain again, never let herself be vulnerable to that kind of betrayal. But she had let Day in. She had given him her trust, her heart, her future. She had watched him become a father to Maya and had dared to believe in happiness again. Now, standing here watching him tend to this beautiful stranger with such care, all her old fears came rushing back with devastating force. Was she about to lose everything again? Had she been a fool to think someone as good as Day would truly want her and her complicated life forever? Her chest tightened painfully, and she felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. Part of her wanted to run, to flee back down the mountain path and escape before her heart could be broken again. Another part wanted to storm inside and demand explanations, to give voice to the jealous rage building inside her. But she did neither. She simply stood there, frozen by the weight of her own emotions. Maya noticed her then and came running out with a delighted cry. "Mama! Mama! Uncle Day found a lady in the forest. She was hurt, and he brought her home." The little girl's excitement was innocent and pure, completely oblivious to the turmoil churning in her mother's heart. She grabbed Huyen's hand and tugged insistently. "Come see! Uncle Day is making her better." The touch of Maya's small hand anchored Huyen to the present moment. She looked down at her daughter's bright, trusting face and felt something shift inside her. This was Maya, the child who had known so much suffering, but who now radiated joy and security because of the home Day had given them. Maya loved Day with all her heart, trusted him completely. Could Huyen's own fears and past wounds really make her doubt the man who had shown them nothing but kindness and devotion? Taking a deep breath, Huyen allowed Maya to lead her inside. Day had stood up and was moving toward her, his expression anxious and concerned. "Huyen," he said softly, reaching for her hand. "I'm so glad you're home. I need to explain." His touch was warm and familiar, and it steadied her. She looked into his eyes, those honest eyes that had never lied to her, and waited. Day gestured toward the woman on the bed. "I was checking the traps near the old pine grove this morning. When I heard someone crying for help, I found her at the bottom of a ravine. She had fallen and injured herself badly. She's from the neighboring village. I couldn't just leave her there, Huyen. She needed help." As he spoke, Huyen studied his face carefully. There was no guilt there, no evasiveness, only genuine concern for the injured woman and worry about how Huyen might be feeling. His hand still held hers, his thumb making small unconscious circles on her palm in the way he always did when he was trying to comfort her. This was Dee, Her Day. The man who had never given her a single reason to doubt him. Slowly, deliberately, Huyen took another deep breath and released it. She thought about all the times Day had proven his love and loyalty. She remembered how he had stayed by her side through Maya's illness last winter. Never sleeping, never complaining. She thought about how he had stood up to people in the village who had judged her for her past, defending her honor without hesitation. She recalled the countless small moments of tenderness, the way he always put her and Maya's needs before his own, the sacrifice he had made to give them a better life. This man, this good and decent man, had saved someone in need. Of course he had. That was who Day was. He saw someone suffering and he helped them, just as he had helped Huyen and Maya when they had been at their lowest point. How could she begrudge him that kindness? How could she let her own insecurities and past traumas poison something so fundamentally good? Huyen felt the jealousy that had gripped her heart begin to loosen its hold. It didn't disappear entirely. Old wounds rarely healed that completely, but it no longer controlled her. She looked at the woman on the bed, really looked at her this time, and saw not a threat, but a human being in pain. The woman's face was scratched and bruised, her clothes torn from her fall. She was unconscious, vulnerable, and completely dependent on the mercy of strangers. "What do you need me to do?" Huyen asked, her voice steady despite the emotions still swirling inside her. The relief that flooded Day's face was immediate and profound. He squeezed her hand gently, his eyes shining with gratitude and love. "I need to clean her other wounds, but I wasn't sure about. I wanted to wait until you were here," he said, his consideration for propriety and Huyen's feelings evident in every word. "She has some cuts on her legs that need attention, and I think she might have broken some ribs. We should make her comfortable and keep watch through the night." Huyen nodded and set to work. She retrieved clean cloths and prepared warm water with medicinal herbs she had gathered from the mountainside. As she worked alongside Day, carefully tending to the stranger's injuries, she felt a sense of peace settling over her. This was right. This was who they were together. People who helped others, who showed compassion, even when it was inconvenient or difficult. Maya helped too, fetching water and holding bandages, her little face serious with concentration. Huyen watched her daughter and Day working together, their movements synchronized by years of shared life, and felt her heart swell with love. This was her family. This was the life she had built from the ashes of her past. No ghost of old betrayals could take that away from her, unless she let it. As they worked, Dee explained more about finding the woman. She had apparently been foraging for wild vegetables and mushrooms when she had slipped on loose rocks near the ravine's edge. She was fortunate that Day had been nearby, fortunate that his trapline took him through that remote area. She was calling for help, but she was so weak, Day said quietly. "If I hadn't found her today, I don't know if she would have survived the night out there." The woman stirred occasionally, moaning softly in pain, but not fully regaining consciousness. Huyen prepared a simple rice porridge, thin and easy to digest, in case she woke and could take some nourishment. She also brewed a tea from local herbs known for their pain-relieving properties. These were skills she had learned from the village elder, knowledge she had accumulated during her years in these mountains. As evening approached, they had done all they could. The stranger's wounds were clean and bandaged, her broken ribs bound, and she was resting as comfortably as possible. Day built up the fire to keep the house warm through the night, and Huyen prepared a simple meal for her own family. They ate quietly, Maya eventually falling asleep curled up on her mat near the fire, exhausted by the day's excitement. Huyền and Day sat together in the dim light, taking turns watching over their unexpected guest. In the quiet intimacy of the night, Day reached for Huyen's hand again. I saw the look on your face when you came home, he said softly. I understood what you might have been thinking, and it hurt me to know I caused you even a moment of pain or doubt. Huyền looked at their joined hands, at the calluses on his palm from hard work, at the strength and gentleness contained in those fingers. I won't lie to you, Day. For a moment I was afraid. My past came flooding back, and I let it cloud my judgment, but only for a moment. She raised her eyes to meet his. Because then I remembered who you are. I remembered everything you've done for us, every promise you've kept, every time you've proven your love. My past doesn't get to define our future. You've earned my trust 1,000 times over. Dee's eyes grew bright with emotion. He brought her hand to his lips and kissed it tenderly. You and Maya are my life, Huyen. There could never be anyone else. I love you both more than I knew it was possible to love. Every day with you is a gift I don't take for granted. They sat in comfortable silence after that, their hands still linked, watching the fire cast dancing shadows on the walls. The stranger slept on, her breathing gradually becoming more regular and peaceful. Outside, the mountain night wrapped around their small house like a protective blanket, and somewhere in the distance, an owl called to its mate. The next morning brought unexpected developments. The stranger finally woke fully, her eyes fluttering open to take in the unfamiliar surroundings. Huyen was there immediately, offering water and soft words of reassurance. You're safe, she told the frightened woman. You fell in the mountains. My husband found you and brought you here. As the woman's memories returned, so did her gratitude. Her name was Lan, and she was indeed from the neighboring village. She had been gathering forest vegetables to sell at market when the accident occurred. I have 3 young children, she said, tears streaming down her face. If you hadn't found me, if you hadn't helped me, what would have become of them? Huyền felt her heart go out to this woman who was, in many ways, not so different from herself. Another mother, another person trying to survive and provide for her family in these harsh mountains. Rest now, Huyền told her gently. We've sent word to your village. Your family will be here soon. Indeed, by midday, Lan's husband arrived with several men from their village, their faces etched with worry that transformed into joy and relief when they saw that Lan was alive and being well cared for. The husband, a weathered man with kind eyes, could barely speak through his tears as he thanked Day and Huyen repeatedly. You saved her life, he kept saying. You saved my wife, the mother of my children. How can we ever repay you? Dee shook his head firmly. No repayment is necessary. We only did what anyone would do. We helped someone in need. But the villagers insisted on leaving gifts, fresh eggs, dried fish, hand-woven cloth, and a promise that if Day and Huyen ever needed anything, they had only to ask. As they carefully carried Lan away on a makeshift stretcher, she reached out to clasp Huyen's hand one last time. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for your kindness, for your care. You have a good husband and he has a good wife. May your family always know happiness. After they left, the house seemed very quiet. Maya had gone to play with other children in the village, and Day and Huyen found themselves alone. Huyen walked to the doorway and looked out at the mountains, at the vast landscape that had become her home. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, about all the pain and struggle, and about the unexpected blessings that had emerged from that darkness. Day came to stand behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and resting his chin on her shoulder. What are you thinking about? He asked softly. I'm thinking about trust, Huyen replied, about how hard it is to build, and how easily it can be shaken by old fears. But I'm also thinking about how strong it can be when it's real. She turned in his arms to face him. Yesterday, I had a choice. I could let my past dictate my present, or I could choose to believe in what we've built together. I chose us, Dee. I will always choose us. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips, gentle kisses full of love and promise. And I will always give you reasons to make that choice, he murmured against her hair. Every day, for the rest of our lives. That evening, as the sun set behind the mountains in a blaze of orange and gold, the family of 3 sat together, sharing their evening meal. Maya chattered happily about her day, her voice filling the house with joy. Huyen looked at her daughter, then at Day, and felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over her. This was what love looked like. Not perfect, not without moments of doubt or fear, but real and enduring and worth fighting for. The unexpected visitor had brought an unexpected lesson. Sometimes the things that test us the most become the very experiences that strengthen us. Huyen had faced her fears and chosen trust over suspicion, love over doubt. And in doing so, she had discovered that the foundation Day had helped her build was even stronger than she had realized. It could weather storms, survive challenges, and emerge even more solid than before. So our story today reminds us that true love is built on a foundation of trust, understanding, and the courage to face our fears. Huyen could have let jealousy and her painful past destroy the beautiful life she had built with Day. But instead, she chose to believe in the love they shared. She chose to see Dee's actions for what they truly were, an act of compassion and humanity that reflected the very qualities that had made her fall in love with him in the first place. The woman they had saved, Lan, went on to recover fully and often visited with her family, forming a lasting friendship with Huyen and Day. Their act of kindness had not only saved a life, but had also strengthened the bonds between their villages. But more importantly, it had tested and proven the strength of Huyen and Day's relationship, showing them that their love could withstand doubt and emerge even stronger. Thank you so much for joining us on this emotional journey today. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to follow more stories about Day and Huyen's life in the beautiful mountains of Vietnam. Your support means everything to us and helps us continue sharing these heartfelt tales. We'll see you in the next video, where more adventures and life lessons await. Until then, remember to trust in love, choose understanding over fear, and always extend kindness to those in need. Goodbye for now, dear